Okay, today I'm going to be doing a rear and front differential fluid change on my 2012 Nissan Pathfinder. Tools I got here are paper towel or shop towels, a hand pump, which I picked up for 10 bucks at Canadian Tire, a 10mm hex bit or Allen key, a standard socket wrench, a torque wrench, high temperature thread sealant, it's kind of an optional piece, some 75W90 synthetic rear differential fluid for the rear diff, and 80W90 for the front differential. I got 4x washers, a drip pan, and you're going to want to have some gloves on hand. For the rear final drive for the 6-liter, you only need 1.4 liters of the fluid. If you have the 8-cylinder, you need 1.75 liters. For the front final drive or differential, you need 0.85 liters for the 6-cylinder and 1.6 liter if you have an 8-cylinder model. So from the dealership, the cost of this is $389 plus tax, so it's approximately $400, but that would include a transfer case oil change as well. So looking at the what's attributable to the actual differentials, it's about $300 with $100 for the transfer case. So I'll see what my costs come up to, and I'll let you know if it's worth doing it yourself at the end of this video. And as usual, since I'm doing this on my slope driveway, I did make some wooden ramps so that my vehicle is actually sitting level in the driveway. So I'm starting with the rear differential. Here's the filler plug, and at the bottom of the differential is the drain plug. I sprayed them both with some WD-40 just to clean up the actual bolts. For this, you're going to need, again, a 10mm Allen key, or in my case, I'm using a hex attachment for my socket, and as usual, they are or can be a little bit tight to get to take off. One thing to note, you should have your drip pan in place. As you're going to see, a small amount of fluid does come out of the actual filler plug. And most importantly, you always want to take off your filler plug first, because if you cannot get the filler plug off and you've taken the drain plug out, you're going to have a hard time refilling it if you could do it at all. You might need to get it towed to a dealership or into a mechanic. So once you've removed the filler plug, you could then move on to the drain plug, and again have the drip pan in place, because a large amount of fluid is going to come out, or to be exact, 1.4 liters. This is also going to use the 10mm Allen key attachment or hex attachment. Now you could tell that it's a branded Nissan differential fluid. It's the 75W90 synthetic. For some reason, they've added a grape scent to their differential fluid. I have no idea why, but I confirm that it actually smells like grapes. So as soon as I opened up this rear differential, a distinct smell of grapes was noted. So once as you're draining your fluid out, good idea, just clean up those filler plug and drain plugs, and install the new washers on each of them. You'll notice on the drain plug there's a magnet attached to it, and it'll attract a bunch of debris. So you're going to want to wipe all of that down and give it a good cleaning so that doesn't go back inside of your differential when you put the filler bolt back into your vehicle. And once it's done, you're also going to want to remember to take the old washer off and install a new washer in its place. So these washers were available from Nissan, and at a cost of $5.10 Canadian per washer. And they do match up for the sizing of the old ones, so it is what was used previously. before you install the drain plug, you don't have to put on the thread sealer. However, I did in this case, as figured I might as well. They make the product, so I'll give it a go and see if there's any issues. Obviously, you're not going to have any noticeable benefit unless your system starts to leak. And very careful not to get any of it on the magnet. Once it's installed, I don't want the thread sealant inside of the differential mixing with the fluid, so I just want it into the actual threads themselves. And then prior to installing the drain plug back into the differential, just give the threads in the differential a quick wipe down and make sure that there's no debris in there, and also just sort of clean up the differential as well, so there's no heavyweight motor oils dripping out of there. So for the drain plug as well as the fill plug, you're going to want to torque them to 26 foot-pounds for both of them. That's not necessarily mandatory. Again, you could use Allen keys for this, in which case you might not get an exact torque spec. But I mean, it is preferable to use a torque wrench. For this, you'll notice my pump doesn't work, so I got to run the system upside down. You can see me holding the bottle upside down and sort of doing an inverted pump. I took the cap off the 80W90. After running a few bottles through, you're going to notice that it fills, and you'll know that it's filled by fluid coming out the top as fast as you're pumping it. So once you're satisfied that it's filled back up, just put the filler bolt back on, and again tighten it to 26 foot-pounds of torque if you have the 2012 Nissan Pathfinder, and that should be in accordance with your manual, and it's also in line with what the Haynes manual is going to tell you. If you do have a V8 though, it may be different, so keep in mind this is a V6. Once I get the filler bolt back in as well as the drain bolt, I like to take some paper towel or some shop rags and give it a good wipe down. That way if there's leaks in the future, I'll notice them right away. So on the front differential, this is on looking from the passenger side of the vehicle. We're going to take the filler plug off first. Again, for the exact same reason that you don't want to take the drain plug out first and find out that you cannot refill your differential because the filler plug is stripped or frozen in place. Keep your drip pan handy. For whatever reason, no fluid came out of the front differential when I removed the filler bolt. Now you're going to want to move over to the drain bolt, which is on the other side. So it should be on the driver's side of the vehicle if you're looking from the front. And you're going to want to remove that. And once again, make sure that you got your drip pan in place, because there should be approximately 0.8 liters of 80W90 gear oil that's going to come out of here. Okay, and just like the rear differential, we're going to clean up the filler plug, and then we're going to clean up the drain plug as well. Same deal, get those old washers off the drain and filler plugs, and keep in mind there's a magnet on the drain plug. You're going to want to take extra care to make sure that you get all of the debris off of that plug. And again, these washers fit perfectly. It's a good idea to look for any large chunks of metal that may have been stuck to your magnet, indicating that you may have some excessive wear inside your differential. And again, install a new washer each time you change these plugs out. Once again, I'm going to use the thread sealer on the filler plug and drain plugs. It is optional. You don't necessarily have to, but I'm going to give it a shot this time. Again, I use some paper towel just to wipe down the threads, make sure there's not an excessive amount of sealer on there, and I don't want it pushing into the actual differential itself and mixing with the fluid. I don't really think it'd be a big issue, but it's just something I don't want happening. So when you're putting this in for the drain plug, it is also going to be installed at the same torque specification as the rear plugs, and that's 26 foot-pounds again. So I just went hand tight. Using the paper towel, just wipe up any excessive oil that's on the differential itself, and always make sure that you're not working directly under it. If you are, you might want to consider wearing safety glasses as well so you don't get oil dripped in your face. And again, I'm going 26 foot-pounds with my torque wrench. Looking from the passenger side, we're now going to put the pump in, and it's the same type of bottle as the other one, so I'm going to have to run it upside down and sort of pump it in that way, which isn't a big deal. Keep in mind I only have one 1 liter bottle for this differential, so it doesn't take very much to fill it. And once again, once the fluid's coming out as fast as you're pumping it in, that's a good indication that you have filled the differential, and you can put your drain plug back in. Pardon me, your filler plug back in. So again, I clean it up, just make sure there's no debris, and that the matting surface is clear, so that the washer makes good contact with the differential. And once it's in hand tight, I'll take the torque wrench, and yet again, it's going to go to the exact same torque spec as the other three, which was again 26 foot-pounds. And again, I'm going to take the paper towel and give it a good wipe down so I could notice any leaks in the future. So as always, I'm going to refill the old bottles now that I'm done with them, and I'm going to take those to a reuse center, which is a free drop-off locally, and that way I just sort of collect a whole bunch and then bring them all in at once. So if you look at the numbers, it was $52.50 for the 2 bottles of rear differential fluid, the 75 W90 synthetic, or $26.25 a bottle each. For the front diff, it was $12.60, and you only need the 1 bottle of the 80 W90. For the 4x washers, I paid $20.40, so that's $5.10 each. And for the hand pump, I paid $10 for a total cost of $95.60 Canadian. So again, it's a little difficult to tell what the dealership cost was because it kind of got rolled up with the transfer case as well. But looking at sort of how they broke down the numbers, I'm estimating $300 for them to do the 2 differentials, which is pretty high. So approximately a $200 savings, and again, that's Canadian. By doing this job yourself, I would say it takes maybe an hour. Obviously, it took me a little longer because I was filming it. But if you were quick, it would take maybe an hour, and you'd save yourself $200. So even if you needed to buy all of the tools, if the dealership's charging you upward of $300 for this, you could easily, easily do that yourself and buy all the tools and still have a pretty reasonable savings. Anyway, thanks for checking out the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will get a transfer case video up very shortly.